This is part 3, I believe, and more discussion of where we're headed and what we all can do to try to avoid this train wreck that's coming.
Well, I really believe that what's going on in the Middle East is against not only Muslims but also Jews and Christians, but against humanity. Let's put it this way. Yes. And Donald Trump mentioned that there were no peace and there was no peace in the Middle East, but that's totally false. Yeah. Looking at what Professor Avi Shalem said, he's a Jewish, Israeli, and he said that he just talking about to that point that Donald Trump has mentioned that you pointed out.
Before the emergence of the State of Israel in 1948, there was a large number of Jews living in the Arab world, something like 800,000, and there were Jews in Lebanon, in Syria, in Egypt, and Iraq. The Jewish community in Iraq was the most ancient, going back to 2.5 millennia ago. It was the most prosperous, the most successful, and the best integrated into local society. But before 48, there were Jews throughout the Arab world, and Muslim-Jewish coexistence was not a distant dream. It was everyday reality. The Jews and Arabs lived side by side until the arrival of Zionism. My family and I, we were Arab Jews. We spoke Arabic at home. We didn't speak any other language. Our culture was Arab culture. Our food was the most delicious, spicy Middle Eastern food. It wasn't European food. So in every sense of the word, we were Arab Jews. We Arab Jews had much more in common, linguistically and culturally, with non-Jews around us. We had much more in common with them than we had with Jews in Eastern Europe. In March 1950, the Iraqi parliament passed a law which said any Jew who wants to leave the country is free to do so. They have a year to register to leave on a one-way visa, and not many Jews registered to leave. And in the next year, 5 bombs exploded in Jewish premises in Baghdad, and that created a panic, and that helped to precipitate the exodus to Israel. Yosef Basri, 28-year-old lawyer and an ardent Zionist, and he was responsible for 3 out of the 5 bombs. The controller of Basri was an Israeli intelligence officer called Max Binet. He gave him the orders, he gave him the TNT. In 1950, there were 135,000 Jews in Iraq. By the end of 1952, there were only about 10,000 Jews left in Iraq, and 125,000 Jews ended up in Israel. We left Iraq as Jews, and we arrived in Israel as Iraqis. The problem is that Israel claims to be the state of the Jews. Israel claims to speak on behalf of all Jews everywhere. Zionism is an Ashkenazi thing. It's nothing to do with them.
There's some history for you, some accurate history.
Yeah, exactly.
And the people feel it. They see that what's going on in Syria, what's going on in Lebanon. They're destroying everything. What's going on in Palestine. It's not just about Muslims, but Christians. The heritage of Jewish people, Christian people, Muslim people in that region is getting destroyed by this sort of endless wars in the Middle East.
And my point, I still keep insisting. I know people don't like this, but my point is Israel is doing that in order to fulfill the radical Zionist dream, perhaps. But we're using that. We're using that to destabilize the Levant. We're using that to regime change in these countries that we don't like, the last one of which is Iran. So, I mean, you can blame Israel all day long. And I had this conversation. I was just up at Columbia University for the Peace Games with Jeff Sachs. And I had this conversation with lunch table almost every time we sat down. We're doing it. We're empowering it. If you want to hate somebody, you can hate Bibi. You can hate those people who are running Israel right now. That's fine. But you've got to hate us too, as Gideon Levy says all the time. Those bombs falling off those F-16s, those 250s and 500-pound bombs, they might as well have been delivered from Lockheed Martin or, whoever made them, as well as Israel being complicit. We are ultimately complicit too. And we want it to happen. I served in an administration that wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's been planned a long time, folks. Now speak out louder than you've ever spoken in your life. And for those that haven't tuned in yet and understand that it's time to speak out, yeah, call your congressional representatives and tell them to shut it down. Call your congressional representatives and tell them one thing: you will never be voted in again. I will never vote for you, period. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. If they supported this genocide and ethnic cleansing and this massive war crimes that are going on, then stop supporting them. Vote in independents. Vote in anybody that's against this war, because we can send a message in this November what we, the people, want. So it's time to wake up, folks. This is the conscious hour. It's time for a conscious revolution, don't you think? How about heaven on earth? Thanks for tuning in. Spread the word.